There's a trend going on right now where family members are exposing one another, so I thought, why not I share why I cut my twin sister out of my life? And I filmed this video a couple of times and decided not to post, but she wants to make herself the victim, so, that gave me the green light. For reference, I made this note October 20th at like 2 in the morning, and this is what I'm working with. So this all started because of a guy. She met this guy in the year 2023. My mom met him first through her job, and this guy was telling my mom that he was only here temporarily, just saving up money to go back to where he lived, which was in Mexico. So my mom was like, oh, why not give you one of my daughter's contacts? So she gave him my sister's phone number. Now, because he was just here temporarily, we were both like, hey, don't go falling for him. Doesn't look like he wants anything serious. To which she was like, I'm not gonna fall for him. Her first of many lies. So he sends a really sweet message on like Valentine's Day, and things are just set from there. I want to preface this by saying that he only spoke Spanish, so they would only ever talk in Spanish. That's going to be important for later. But pretty much they're talking, things are going. About like a couple months later, they're still not officially a thing, and my sister's like, well, what are we? Because she was never the 3-month type. Like there was one day that came around where he was going to ask her out, take her on like a date and all, but he didn't. Not until like weeks later, this was like around May of 2023, he finally asked her out. So things are fine, things are good with them. Eventually, my sister gets evicted from where she lives, which is like a shared room in a house. So she moves back home with my parents and, things just start taking a turn. She said, and I remember verbatim, I rubbed off on him, so he started being mean to me, is what she told me. Which I don't think that was the case at all, because I'm going to be completely honest, my sister was completely different before she met him. So he started being mean towards her. He started, berating her, talking down on her, making her feel really bad. Me and her best friend at the time noticed this, and we sat down to talk with, and I say at the time because they're no longer friends. So we talked to her, and what was an emotional conversation where we literally embraced each other, and we just wanted nothing but the best for her. We just wanted to see her happy again, and for her to choose herself, just being there for her. To which a couple of days later after that talk, she said to me that we chewed her ass out. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, we never cussed you out, we never said nothing to you that was in any way harmful, but I digress. And the friendship between her and her best friend ended, to which that's a whole other story that's for her to share. But ultimately, she chose a man over her best friend. Mind you, she knew her since like 5th grade, and we were already like 21 at this point. So things start getting worse. And between these time spans, there's periods where I'm choosing not to talk to my sister because of the decisions that she's making. Like ultimately, I was trying to be there for her and talk to her, but she would keep going back to him. She would keep doing the same things. And you can only do so much for someone. So there was a time period we were fine, and she went to stay at my college dorm with me. She decided to invite him over there, and he went and decided that they go get food. Which, like I said, we were 21 at around this time. He was 21, so I couldn't stop her from going with him. I could only tell her so much. She came back from that, obviously in tears, because not only did he force her seatbelt down in the car, but he threw food at her. Like, at this point, me and my mother were trying to tell her, like, look, he's not good for you. I think everyone in her life at this point was trying to tell her, not only was she unhappy, but he was very bad for her. Like, I met my now boyfriend during this time, and there was even a time we were hanging out here, and she, went out on a date with him, supposedly, to only come back in tears, and for him to be outside, still yelling at her and still berating her, insulting her to the max, and to, level machismo, how the men be, como son los hombres. Like, he didn't even know who my boyfriend was during that time, because I was still talking to him, getting to know him. And, I remember we both stepped outside, and he mean-mugged him. He mean-mugged my boyfriend. I was like, you don't even know him! And, even during this time, I would try to, distract my sister, try to help her out, only for her to take advantage of me and, still be running back to him. Hence why I kept, cutting her off during some periods of time. That and among other things. So at this point, their relationship is on and off. And because I'm up at college most of the time, my mom is here at home enduring most of their relationship, which is now basically them screaming at each other on the phone for hours into the night, until 4 or 5 a.m. And at some point, my mom's had enough. She goes and confronts my sister. And I'm not going to share too many details of this, but she ended up hurting my mom, to the point of sending her to the hospital. Like, my boyfriend was there with us. God bless his soul. He was able to take me and my mom to and from the hospital. But you know, coming back from that, when my mom had to recover, you would think that my sister would have felt some sort of guilt or remorse. My mother told me she spent that whole week while she recovered, my sister was locked away in her room, crying, moping, screaming, acting like the victim. To which I couldn't even believe, because I literally spent that time with her in the fucking hospital. The fact that you even put your hands on her. So finally, my sister went up to my mom with flowers, talking about, I'm so sorry, you know, it won't happen again. Saying that the things between them were finally over. Or so we thought. Because shortly after that, my mom would start noticing my sister being like, oh, I'm just going to Walmart. But she would be all dressed up, all dolled up. Like, girl, we're our mother's daughter. You think she's that dumb? So she was obviously still seeing him, still talking to him. Would obviously still be arguing, fighting with him. But it was starting to dim down. One day, we're like, fine. And she hits me up. I'm in my dorm. She's here and she goes, oh, I'm going to stay in your room for right now. Didn't even ask, just said, I'm just gonna stay in your room. To which I was like, okay, but what's wrong with your room? She then shows me a picture of her window smashed in, her shelf of collectibles knocked over, and tells me that he broke in. Like, what are you talking about? And so this whole situation came up out of this. And it turns out that it was a regular thing for him to be, you know, sneaking through her window. And the one night she didn't let him in, he forced his way in. So while things are being situated in court, he's still over there running free. He went to trash his aunt's apartment, which was the only family member he was living with, by the way. Because I forgot to mention, there was a time period my sister confessed something to me, which is a very important detail. But the reason why he was here in the States and not over there with his family in Mexico. Like a couple months into them dating, she knew nothing about his family, nothing about his mom. As I mentioned, his aunt barely tolerated him. And I was curious as to, you know, why. And she told me, and trigger warning for this next part, that he got kicked out of his family's home in Mexico because he was caught kissing his niece. I'm so fucking dead ass. I remember not wanting to know anything else. I just remember asking her, when did he tell you this? He told her a couple of weeks before he asked her out. I don't know how she did not see that as the biggest red flag. But again, I digress. So he's over there causing trouble. And mind you, his own mother came down to try to talk some sense into him, only for him to set her car on fire. Oh! So obviously the court's figuring out, you know, a restraining order, just trying to figure this whole shit out. And this was a time period I was not speaking to her. I end up finding out, like, you know, all of this and that he's still in her life somehow. And finally, bro drops the entire thing. He pleads guilty. Like, oh my God. This was like nearing my graduation too. And like I said, I was not speaking to my sister for a variety of reasons. Because how was I going to be offering you the best help and advice that I could, only for you to just... So I wasn't even going to invite her to my own graduation because I hadn't even invited her to my own sorority, like, initiation. But my fucking kindness of my own heart fucking beat me because I just decided to finally talk to her again, regardless of whether she apologized, and only for me to be saying apologies to her, which in perspective I did. I genuinely apologized to her, and yet she will continuously throw it in my face. So whatever, we're fine. She goes to my graduation. Things are starting to finally get good. You know, she's hanging out with me and my boyfriend. We're taking her to concerts. We're buying her stuff. We're literally picking her up from the club when she's out drunk. You know, we're just doing so much for her with nothing in return because that's the kind of people we are, me and my boyfriend. So one day rolls around. My sister was always the type to send like text messages by using her voice. And one day we're all hanging out and she's talking in Spanish, saying things like, oh, I'll never trust you again. What makes you think you'll change? So even after all of that, she was still fucking talking to him. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I just want to know, am I the crazy one? Am I irrational? Am I the toxic one for cutting her off for good? Because I can't keep defending you if you want a piece of shit like him.
So this is something that I wanted to talk about on here, but didn't know if I should. I have had a stalker for 4 years. I earlier this year took him to court finally and got a no contact order. So if he contacts me or doxes me again or posts about me, we will go back to court and he will potentially serve jail time. So this is a man that I do not know. I used to live in Houston. I now live in Chicago, and he used to live in Houston and moved to Chicago. Do I know if he moved because of me? No, I have no idea. But the way that this happened, I used to have a larger Instagram following. I had almost like 10,000, maybe 10,000 followers on an Instagram of mine, and I had it since like high school. And in college, it got pretty big because I was posting every day. I was just like a hot college girl. It was probably just a bunch of creepy men, but there were a lot of women, a lot of people that I had met, a lot of connections I had made as a bartender for, I don't know, I think I bartended for like 5 years. And I ended up having to delete it because I was so used to posting every single day, posting out my window, posting where I was in real time, posting everything that I was doing, posting my friends, tagging my friends, posting my family, posting inside of my room, posting everything. And I see people do it on TikTok all of the time. I see people do it on Instagram. I do see people do it with their children. And you do not understand. If you have a stalker, your life is never the same. Psychologically and mentally, I am not the same person as I was before. I have had a lot of trauma in my life, and a lot of things do not compare to having a stalker. I will forever have issues because of the level of doxing that happened and the amount of harassment. This is a man who doxed and stalked everything of mine, my phone number. He was texting me my address. He texted me on hundreds of fake phone numbers asking if he could pay me to have sex with him. Constantly. And at first I didn't realize it was the same person. I didn't know who he was. And then I found things online and he was using like a fake anonymous username. And I hired 3 private investigators to find out who this man was. And I literally had to do like my own scheming to really figure out who he was, like to confirm it, because I did not believe my private investigators. So I literally had to delete my Instagram fully. I had to delete it because no matter how private I made it, no matter how many times I went through my 10,000 followers and removed them, at one point it was like 8,000 because I had blocked so many people. And I still could not figure out which account was his because he was making hundreds of accounts. And I found out actually that this was a man who messaged me on Instagram. And when I blocked him from there, he messaged me on Facebook and he had messaged me on LinkedIn. So I had to change everything. And it genuinely, I would look over my shoulder because he texted me. What really like pushed it further was that he texted me my address. He texted my mom multiple times throughout the 4 years, multiple times. Texted me, oh, I know, I've had your mom's phone number. Like all kinds of crazy stuff. And was like, oh, I watch you from afar. I know you really enjoy your apartment on this street. I've moved. I've sold my car, got a new car because I needed new everything. And genuinely, it makes me so scared for people that they do not understand how psychotic some people are. I have never in my life met this man. Never. And I have no idea how long he was actually watching me before he started reaching out to me. It was genuinely, I would spend nights alone crying in the middle of the night because I was begging this man to please stop doxing me. Please stop obsessing over me. Please stop messaging me. And he continuously, when I would come to him, he would be like, this isn't me. What are you talking about? I finally, once we went to court, got my court documents and reached out to the website that he was having conversations about, calling me a coke whore, calling me a whore, saying that nobody would ever love me because I was such a slut. I was such a whore. I was so disgusting. And They confirmed that it was him. They confirmed his IP address. They confirmed who he was. And this is like a sketchy site. And I'm like, wow, if they're taking this seriously, then damn, it must be really serious. And they confirmed it really was him. And we had gone to court and everything. And you know what his lawyer tried to paint me as? A crazy person. His lawyer literally goes, have you, like, the discovery for them was, have you ever been in a mental hospital? Are you on medication for a mental illness? Have you ever been diagnosed with a mental illness? They were trying to say that I was crazy. He was continuously still denying it, even though I had all of the proof. I had photos of him linked to his anonymous account, everything. It took a no contact order for him to stop contacting me. I don't think people truly understand how easy it is for somebody to just become obsessed with you. How easy it is for people to stalk you on a daily basis. They become parasocial with you and they genuinely feel like they have a right to you. He would text me things like, oh, nobody's ever going to love you. I have more money than any man that you would ever be with. You need to be with me. Nobody's ever going to love you because you're such a whore. So you need to come and have sex with me and be with me. I have never met this man. Never. And he was ugly. And he was gross. And he was a loser and he was fat. So, but I see these women and I know it's fun. And I know it's like just a really, really good time. But it's not safe to post out your window, to post where you live. I see these girls living in the city. I know exactly where you live, especially women here in Chicago. I'm like, I see out your window. I know where you live. It takes 5 seconds for a stalker to find you, wait out and look into your window, or wait outside and wait for you and follow you around where you're not noticing because you're literally walking on your phone. It takes them 5 seconds to look up your mom, look up your mom's address, get your mom's number, Google you, whatever, to find you. And I genuinely thought he was going to come find me, and I thought he was going to kill me or he was going to rape me. I really, really thought that. And I mean, every single day for 4 years, I was desperate. And I knew it made him happy that it was making my life hell. And thank God I have my partner now and I live with him and he makes me feel very safe. But I genuinely don't think people understand how big of a deal it is to have a stalker. It psychologically changes your brain. Psychologically changes your brain. I will never think of the online internet the same way. I will never think of, like, I was literally spending my days and I was walking on the street and I would be literally looking behind me constantly. I would be wearing a hoodie. I would literally be hiding myself. There would be weeks where I would go outside maybe twice. Especially when I was single, I would go on dates and be like, oh my God, is this the person? Before I figured out who he was, I could not figure out who he was. I was like, maybe it's somebody from my high school. Maybe it's somebody from college. Maybe it's somebody that I've dated before. Maybe it's somebody that I used to be friends with, a girl who hates me now. Who is this person? And that's the worst part about it, is that I'm lucky because I actually figured out who this man was. But a lot of people don't ever figure out who they are, and they consistently are stalked for years and years and years. I really if anything from this video gets to you, please pay attention to what you're posting. It is not worth it. It is not worth the money that you make from it as an influencer. It is not worth your sanity. It is not worth your safety. It is not worth your mental, health. I mean, genuinely, there were days where I was like, I cannot live on this world anymore, and literally, was moments away from not living anymore, unaliving myself, because it was so fucking bad, and I still deal with the repercussions of what he did. I'll never be the same. I'll never be the same. My online presence will never ever be the same, and I genuinely do not think people take it seriously. Thank God I have support now, but when I first moved to Chicago, I did not have support, and I did not know what to do, and I was so ashamed, and I was so scared, and I did not know what to do. And thank God I grew. I got a therapist. I went to therapy because of this, and I learned, things that I could do to move forward, like hiring a PI, deleting my Instagram, being very quiet, very silent. But I just really, really want to be an advocate to pay attention to what you're posting online because it is extremely, extremely, extremely important.
Okay, so y'all are asking for a story time, and I'm not one to disappoint, so let's get into it. If you're just tuning in, I'll catch you up really quick. I got last minute kind of tickets to Magic Men Live Australia yesterday, Sunday evening at my local bingo hall down the road. What else are you gonna do in a small town on a Sunday? As you all know, before an event or something, I like to state my intentions. So my mom decided she was gonna drop me and my brother off. My brother's gay, again, in case you're new. And so I'm in the car and I was like, ugh, I hope they have a Korean one. Listen, I don't know what it is, but I have been so into Asian men, and there's none here in Vermont. Again, small town problems. I had creeped their Instagram a little bit, and I was like, ooh, there looks like there might be an Asian with a sleeve, so like, maybe he'll be here tonight. I walk into the venue, scan our tickets, go to take seats, and he walks by. I whip my head to my brother, and I was like, oh, hell yeah, that one's mine. He's super embarrassed. He's like, Sierra, stop, you're such a weirdo. I was like, don't care, seen what I need to see, that's the one I want. I proceed to stalk this poor man. He's like walking on the edge of the room. I'm standing. I'm not even sitting in my chair. I'm standing, trying to be flirty, so that way I'm like a higher viewing point from everybody else so he can see me. Nothing. He goes over to the vending machine that's like right behind me, not once, but twice, doesn't turn around. I cannot make eye contact with this man. The show is starting, I'm watching it, and he's like standing off to the side, like leaning on a partition, and I'm watching him the whole time because I'm like, is he gonna perform? Is he not? I don't know. He wasn't like hanging up by the stage with the other guys, so I was like, maybe that's not his thing. And then he came on at one point and said he's like the MC for the evening, and I was like, is he not gonna strip? Then intermission happens, and at the table I was sitting at was a girl that I went to high school with. And she was like, you look way too hot to not be closer to the stage. And I was like, yeah, I know. And she's like, I'm gonna bring you up near me the next time that it starts. And I was like, yeah, I know. And she's like, why don't you go talk to that one you were interested in? And I was like, I'm just not gonna bother. I'm gonna let it ride. And she was like, no, you absolutely need to go talk to him. He's standing right there. Go. And she starts pushing me. So I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'm gonna go flirt. So I walk across the bingo, like, banquet hall, the tables, and I walk over. And I said, so when are you going on? And he goes, next, come up with me. And I just said, okay. And he's like, just okay? You don't want to ask, like, what we're doing? Like, do you have any follow-up questions? And I said, no, the answer is yes. He goes, well, you're confident. And I was like, why wouldn't I be? And he was like, great question. Let's go practice this little routine because it's a little bit of a dance. So he brings me behind a doorway and we practice this little dirty dancing thing. He was like, do you know Dirty Dancing? Do I know Dirty Dancing? One of my favorite movies of all time. I've seen it so many times, it's not even funny. So I'm pumped that it's a Dirty Dancing song. I go sit down on the couch, like that's over by the stage where they were having the girls that were going to participate sit. And one of the other ones comes up to me and he goes, do you want to be in a special performance? And I was like, my guy, I'm sitting here because I'm already part of it. And he was like, whose are you in? So I tell him and he goes, oh, I already picked him out 2 girls. And I was like, well, I already just practiced with him, so I don't know what to tell you. And he goes, we were picking the girls for him. He wasn't supposed to pick his own. And I was like, we literally just practiced it. He goes, that means I'm going to have to tell the other girl that she's been kicked out. And I was like, yeah. He goes, you're bad, you're trouble. And I was like, I know, but I really want to be here right now. I also threw that one off of his game a little bit later because he had a hand tattoo. And I remember, they're all Australian. So I went, I like your necklace. And he goes, necklace? What necklace? I'm not wearing a necklace. And I grabbed his hand and went, he promptly said, I can't sit next to you. You're going to get me in trouble. And I was like, fair enough. Anyways. He comes and grabs me. We practice the dance one more time. He's stroking the ego, right? You're a natural. You're so good at this. And I even called him on it. I was like, yeah, okay. But me, I was looking for an in. I was like, so what's the plan after the show? What's happening? And then he was like, yeah, I got to get your contact information afterwards. And I'm like, yeah, okay. All the like niceties they say, you know, I've been here, done that a time or two. If you want to watch the performance, I have 2 videos up of it. So go watch. He goes and gets dressed. My brother and I go back to our original seats where our things were. And he was ready to go home. And so my mom was there to pick us up. And he pretty quickly came back out dressed and came over. And he was like, hey, so gotta get your contact information. My brother goes, her Instagram because that's what he had asked for. And he was like, she's single, ask for her number. What a good wingman. And he goes, yeah, okay. I still want your Instagram too though because I want to creep, but give me your number. So he does his creeping, I leave, and I was like, let me know when the show ends and what y'all are up to. And then he was like, oh, you live near here? Yeah, I do. Long story short, I took him home with me. You thought I was gonna see exactly what I wanted, experience exactly what I wanted, and then not bring him home? You don't know me very well. And like, not to stroke his ego, if you're watching this, stop watching right now. He added me on here and I was like, oh, then I can't do my story time. And he was like, no, you can do your story time. Love that for me. I've been around the block. I've seen a thing or two, done a thing or two. Never in all of my years would I have expected that from him. 10 out of 10. No notes. No notes. Was an eater. Had me folded like a pretzel. The dirty talk. Chef's kiss. So really bummed he's not around here for me to get that regularly. So sad for me, but so funny, so sweet, genuinely had the best night. Also kind of had a lot in common with him, which is really surprising. I wasn't expecting this connection at all. It really took me by surprise. But yeah, spicy night, lovely person. I had a great time. And that was my night at the bingo hall.
So when my mom was 14 years old, a boy at her school stole something from her, and she ended up falling madly in love with said boy, and to this day, 44 years later, still says that this boy was the love of her life. Story time. So my mom was born in a city in the north of France, pretty small city, and came from pretty humble beginnings. So her dad was actually a sommelier, very French, and her mom was a music teacher. And so my mom at about 14 years old was like a pretty nerdy looking kid. She played the harp, loved to play instruments, had like these really big round glasses, very curly blonde hair, you know, the 80s look. And one day at school, she met this boy, an older boy. It's always the older boys, isn't it? And this boy was pretty much the opposite of her. So he came from a pretty wealthy family. His dad was a pretty renowned surgeon in the north of France. They lived in a very big home. He had a very big family. His parents were very much together, whereas my mom's were divorced. And he played handball. So kind of a sports guy, if you will. He smoked cigarettes and, you know, hung out with the boys at school with the leather jackets and so on and so forth. Now, my mom rode a moped to school, which means that in the wintertime, she would wear gloves. And when she would park her moped outside of school, she would leave her gloves in her helmet on her moped. And one day after class, my mom goes to pick up her moped to ride home, and she notices that one of her gloves is missing. Now, when she looks in the helmet, she notices that instead of the glove, there is a note in the helmet. The note reads, if you want your glove back, come to this party on X date at X time. And it was signed by this older boy. Now, the next day, my mom encounters said older boy and his two BFFs in a hallway and decides to take up the courage to go talk to these older boys and demand her glove back. Now, after refusing a few times and letting her know that she would need to come to the party to get her glove back, they eventually folded and gave her glove back. Now, 6 months go by, okay, between the glove incident and now. My mom then gets re-invited to another party where this older boy is also at. Now, an important detail is that this boy had broken his femur playing handball, and therefore he was in a full leg cast. If you know anything about 80s parties, people used to dance, right? This is how you would, I don't know, flirt, mingle, if you will. So the dancing was a little bit tricky, but they did so nonetheless. So they danced all night, and they ended up falling in love. Now, remember, this older boy was a grade above, right? So when the older boy graduated high school, my mom was still in high school, finishing up her 12th grade. And so this boy had a choice to go in a really far city to go to university or stay close by. And he ended up staying close by in the same city that they both lived in at the time. So they ended up continuing their relationship throughout university. But then back in the day in France, you had what was called like military service. So this older boy ended up going to Russia for about a year. And my mom ended up going to the States to work in an amusement park. Make it make sense. And anyways, so they would write each other letters and speak on the phone every now and then. And because of the distance between them, my mom would have to like order a phone call 24 to 48 hours in advance to call Russia. And it was extremely expensive. So she would spend all her salary from the amusement park on the phone call to this boy. Like, come on, girl, come on. Until one day, this older boy ended up surprising my mom in the States, in this amusement park, and ended up proposing to her. Now, my mom, like, hadn't finished her studies, right? And she was young, like, she was about 21, 22. So she said no to the proposal.
Okay, so I just quickly wanted to make a video and explain what happened to me at Lowe's yesterday, because I think if I wouldn't have seen a video last week on social media, things could be a lot different today. I went to Lowe's with my 3-year-old. I had left my 18-month-old at home. I went and did a return and then walked back out to my car, and I had parked within like the first 4 parking spots of the store. And as I get out to the car, I for some reason just decided to have my daughter climb in this door rather than over here where her car seat is. And so she's climbing in, and as she's climbing in, I turn and see that behind me there's a Honda Accord parked. And if my car is parked this way, the Honda Accord had pulled this way, so like I couldn't have backed out even if I tried. And so I noticed that, and my daughter's in the car at this point, so I closed the door, and the lady had her window rolled down, and she was handing something out of the car that was like wrapped in fabric. And she was like, "Ma'am, can I give you a toy for your girl?" And I was like, "No, thank you, we're good." And she said, "How rude, this is a toy for your child." And I said, "No, thank you, like there's probably someone that needs that more than we do. Thank you so much, that's so kind of you, but we're good." And at that point, she got like irritated and opened her car door, and I luckily was standing right here, so I was able to just get in my car and lock the doors. And another miracle is that nobody had parked in front of me, and so I was able to just turn on my car and drive forward. And I called the police and made a police report, and they told me that this is becoming a more common trafficking scheme. And I have never heard of it happening in my town. I've heard of it happening a lot in Utah County. But yeah, so it happened to me yesterday in Davis County, and the officer said, like, at this point, it's hard because you don't want to hurt people's feelings, but it's more important to protect your babies and possibly hurt someone's feelings, but you just can't really trust anybody's intentions these days. And I think that if I hadn't seen Jane Williamson's post on social media, I'm the type of person that just would have been like really uncomfortable with it, but didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I probably would have taken it and just thrown it away. And I had seen Jane's video literally last week, and that's why I was like, "No, thank you, we're good." I immediately like knew. And if you haven't seen Jane's video, she has done a lot of research and figured out that a lot of like the 2 common schemes are they'll either lace whatever they're trying to hand you with fentanyl, or they will try to distract you and send someone around the other side of the car to take your child. So I'm really grateful I had seen Jane's video, and this is your PSA to just trust your mom instincts and be aware when you're out in public. I normally do grocery pickup and delivery, and I think we're going to be sticking to that, and only going to the store when my husband can come with us, because that's where I'm at. So anyways, just be aware of your surroundings and protect your babies.
Hi. I'm gonna keep my name anonymous, but you can know me as Belle. I started this TikTok account because I need help. I have been in an unhealthy relationship that has included multiple forms of domestic violence for the last 4 years. I have 2 very young children, and we need help so that we can get out. I have not been able to keep a job due to my partner, and that partner has currently put us in such a financial hole that we are likely going to end up homeless. I have done everything that I can. I have applied for resources and programs locally and through my state. I've also applied for things with my school because I am in college. I've been trying to get an education so I can provide for my kids. I've reached out to the people I can. I don't have a lot of family support that can help me. They've done as much as they can. But I need to get away from the partner that I'm with. It has been 4 years of emotional and mental and sexual abuse, and I need to find a way out of it. It's affecting my kids. It's preventing them from being able to live like they need to, from me being able to provide for their necessities. If we're being perfectly honest, I'm really scared to post this because I don't know if someone he knows or if he will see it. I've done my best to block the accounts that I know of. Currently, we are all living together in the same house because I don't have the income for us to leave, and I can't get up to date on the current bills that we have. So I just need a little bit of help. I know that there are a lot of people out there that have been in similar situations. I grew up in a situation like this, and I'm really ashamed that I ended up in one myself, and I'm ashamed that my kids ended up in it. And I'm trying to do the best that I can to start over so they can have a better life and that they don't know what it's like to grow up like that while they're still young. If you are able to help financially, I appreciate it more than you know. I did put my Venmo and my Cash App in the bio on here. I think that's all I have. I'm trying to do things where he won't notice them. I just need some help to get out of my situation so that my kids don't keep growing up in it. I am working on finding a job, but I don't really have anybody to be with my kids because their father doesn't do a very good job taking care of them when he's left alone with them. And I don't know if it's safe for me to leave my babies with him. And I'm trying to work out a plan to get that fixed. I don't really know what else to say without giving too many details away. I don't even know if anybody will see this. My mom told me to make videos and try to reach out and get help from people who have been in similar situations that have gotten out. I have reached out to domestic violence support services in my area, and fortunately there's not that much that they can do for me because they think that it's not imminent danger, even though his anger is getting worse and we're gonna end up losing everything. But I'm trying to do my best to stop that before it happens. So if you can help, I'd appreciate it. If you know of resources to help financially or remote jobs that are reliable that I can work with 2 young kids in the house, that would be great. Or other resources to help in situations like mine, I would really appreciate it. I think I'm gonna keep trying to make videos every day, talking a little bit about my situation, maybe just to put it out there a little more. I know that I'll find a way through this. I just have to do what's best for my kids right now, and the best that I can do for them right now is try to seek help in any way that I can so I can give them a better life. So thank you, and bye.
Here's the story about how my boyfriend's ex tried to get me fired, potentially tried to get me arrested, and tried to, I guess, make my 4-year-old son at the time a sex offender, which is not possible at that age, but she's dumb, so whatever. To preface and to answer some questions that will be asked beforehand, we live in a different county than their custody cases, so everything handled in the county we live in was handled criminally. Their custody case is family court, and the two didn't touch each other. So nothing changed with his custody case, and it's kind of hard for him to change anything because I'm the victim in everything, and I'm a third party. So what she did to me has no effect to his case because I have no part in his case. It's not fair to him, but that's how the system works. So, essentially, how it all started was him and I started dating about 3 years ago. They had been split up for, at the time, his daughter, I believe, was 4. They had been split up for 4 years. Like, there's no cross of any sort. And so we started dating approximately 3 years ago. And so him and I kept it between us two for a little bit before introducing children or letting other parents know of our children, because if it didn't work out, what was the point? So we waited about 6 months before we decided to introduce our children. And I told him, as a mom, reach out to her and let her know before this happens and give her the courtesy of letting her meet me first, because as a mom, that's what I would want. And it's respectful. So he did that. She played the cards, I guess, and was like, oh, amazing. And she ended up never, trying to meet me. So, whatever. Not really my problem. We extended that offer. What she does with that is on her. So, I didn't really see he always got his daughter every other weekend like he's supposed to. Again, we live in a different county than she does, so she's over an hour away. So he doesn't have any more custody than every other weekend because it's just not possible. And Florida statute doesn't allow for 50-50 because of the distance. They lived in one area together. She moved away. So essentially, I wasn't seeing any of the issues in the beginning because she didn't know about me. So now here we are, 6 months in, and she's starting to cause issues. And it started small. She would text him and say, I want to take, I'll say a letter A, to the beach for the weekend, but it's during your weekend. But since I have her currently during my time, I'm making the plans during my time, so I'm taking her to this place. And you can't tell me no because I made the plans during my time, even though it was his weekend. So he obviously was like, you can't do that. She goes, well, I made the plans already and did it anyway. Well, then it was like December, and every year before I met him, I took my son to Disney for his birthday. And his daughter has a birthday very close to my son. So I was like, oh, let's do it together this year. So we planned it, we bought the tickets and everything like that. And mind you, she has Disney passes for their daughter, but we didn't even bother asking her. We still bought a separate pass. And she didn't know that we made those plans, so I'll give her that. But she ended up withholding, I don't know if maybe, because I think we told his daughter, so she ended up withholding his daughter that weekend and wouldn't give her to him. So we lost out on that weekend. Fast forward, it's now 2024. Yeah, 2024. And it is February. She's still pulling these cards. They've gone to court back and forth. Nothing was done out of it. He got his makeup time. That was pretty much it. It was a slap on the wrist. Well, I guess maybe she thought that would be enough to get rid of me. No, you ain't gonna scare me. Well, here we are, February of 2024, and at the time, she was required to pick the daughter up from our home, or from his home, which was our home at this point now. We had just started living together because it had been about a year of us dating. Well, close to a year. Well, she picks up her daughter. Mind you, it was a day our kids were playing outside. I have photos from that day, I remember. Kids are playing outside. They're having fun, playing hopscotch, whatnot. Actually, there was another weekend before that. It was pretty cold and they were playing outside too. And I had like a sweat set on her, on the daughter. And she didn't have like a t-shirt on under. It was like a sweatshirt like this. Nothing on under. Again, she's 5. There's nothing here. Okay. And her mom, we have cameras at our house, by the way. So her mom comes and picks her up and sends him a message right after and goes, I can't believe you sent my daughter home shirtless. She was wearing a sweatshirt. But because there was no shirt on under it, she was shirtless. And my son was wearing a t-shirt at the time, and so was David. I was wearing a sweatshirt, but I didn't even have anything under my sweatshirt. Like, we were home. We were being lazy. And she was like, everyone was wearing sweaters with shirts under them. Like, no. And again, we have cameras. You can, like, my son was wearing a t-shirt because we didn't go outside that day. But he was wearing a t-shirt. And you see him run outside to say bye to A, And you can clearly see that he's wearing a t-shirt. And she's like, everyone was wearing a sweater with a shirt under it. Like, go away. So then, okay, now the following weekend she comes and picks her up. Our kids are playing outside. Well, later that night, that same night that she picked her up, I happened to be working, and my boyfriend was home, and my son was in bed. He was asleep. It was late at night. And I get a notification on my phone that there's like someone at our door from our camera, and David hears a knock because I happen to be on the phone with him. And so he goes and opens the door, and it's DCF at our door. We're both like, what the heck? Like, what happened? No, I'm sorry, it wasn't DCF at our door. I was home that night. Let me retract that. Hold on. Next video.
I owe y'all an explanation, so I'm about to give it. I posted a video on here yesterday, and I shared my real raw grief of a living child. Yes, I'm grieving a living child. Go back to August. Actually, we'll go back a few years ago. My oldest daughter, not putting names on here, but I'm going to tell y'all the story. I've been quiet long enough, and I think if I share it, maybe you'll understand it a little bit better. And if anyone out there is going through something similar, this will give you something to relate to. So years ago, back when my daughter was still a teenager, we dealt with a lot. I mean, a lot. It was constantly at the school, snorting stuff up our nose at the lunch table, fighting with other kids, just one thing after another, sneaking out of the house, drinking, drugs, just a lot. Okay. And I know a lot of that is like normal stuff that parents go through when they're raising kids. And I thought that was normal. So I just kept trucking. I kept supporting. I kept showing up. I kept hoping that if I pushed in a happy, positive way, things would change. Little did I know that my support in hoping that things would change would actually later on enable her, because I did not know how to tell my daughter no. I did not know how to tell her no, I wouldn't pay her bills. I did not know how to tell her no, I won't give you money to go shopping. I did not know how to tell her no, you're wrong, change your ways. And so all of that is on me. That part is on me. So fast forward to now, we're in adulthood. With adulthood has come these same problems. Wrecks, under the influence, drugs, drinking, driving, whatever the reason. However, she never gets in trouble by the law for it. There's a reason for that. We'll get to that here in a second. I'm sorry this video is going to be a little lengthy, but I just want you to know what's going on. And I'm coming out here and I'm telling it all because I'm done hiding it. The whole thing about my TikTok world is that I want to be clear, transparent, and real. So here it is. My life is a shit show. But I know there's other people out there and theirs is the same. So here's the rest of it. A few months ago, we had allowed our daughter to move back in with us because she could not make it on her own, and I could not pay for her apartment anymore, plus pay for my house payment and things like that. So she said, well, can I just move home? I said, sure, if you can act right, that's fine. All we ask is that you be respectful and you don't treat us like shit and you keep your mess cleaned up. Okay, she wasn't back 2 weeks before she and my husband got in an altercation because she wanted to bring someone that we didn't really know that well inside of our home while we weren't inside of our home. And keep in mind, this is a child that has and associates with people that most people don't want in their homes unsupervised. So my husband is like, nope, you cannot go in there. You can't take that person in there. So it gets in a big argument. So they start filming my husband because at this point he's flipping out. He's like, okay, if you can't respect me, get off my effing property. And he is. He got upset. He got heated. All that we have done for this child and all that we have sacrificed and tried over and over and over and over and just continue to be kicked in the teeth. So, he's like, yep, you got to leave. You get your shit and get out. If you can't respect me and your mother and you cannot stop treating us like shit, go. You want to be grown, act grown, be grown. So anyways, her friend was under the impression by my daughter that my husband was abusive. Never, ever has this man ever put his hands on me or her in any other way other than when she was going through her young teenage years. He did bust her ass, I think for, I don't remember what it was for, but it was valid because she called the police that night, and the police chief even told her, if I was your parent, I would have whipped your ass too. There's a difference in whipping your ass and child abuse. It is a difference. So she videoed my husband freaking out. Then she stopped videoing. Then she got out of the car and attacked my husband. He never hit back. She literally beat the shit out of him. I'm talking about, this is a girl that is on drugs. So it is hyped up. It is so, like, intense. You know, and I'm trying to break it up. And her friend that was with her decided, for whatever reason, that she thought my daughter needed help. So she gets out and starts beating on my husband. Me and my 250-pound son could not get them pried apart. My husband is on the bottom of a pile of women, so he's refusing to fight back. He didn't swing. He was trying to push to keep them off of him best he could. He got on the bottom of the pile in the driveway as they were rolling. My daughter's back got scratched up when they were rolling around on the gravel because he was trying to get up and get away from her. But they were kicking his head, beating his face in, ripped his insulin pump out of his side. All this happened in our driveway. And, yeah, so that was really bad. So he was on the bottom of that pile. And at some point, he bit something that was stuck in his mouth. You know, keep in mind, he had already called 911 asking for help, that they're, you know, hey, they've pulled a gun on me in my driveway. Now they're attacking me. Help, help, help. So it took like 5-6 minutes for the police to get there because we live out in the country. And in all this happening, he's getting the shit beat out of him. 911 was on the phone the whole time. They heard every bit of it. So finally my daughter leaves before the police get there. The police get there, my husband is down at the road, you know, on an adrenaline high, like freaking out, like, hey, y'all, help, help, help. She's left. She went that way. So, you know, they took off to go get her. Some officers stayed to talk to us. They wanted to know if we wanted to press charges. At the time, we were both so shook up as to what had happened. We said, no, we really don't want to press charges. That's our daughter. She's got some problems. She needs help, but we don't want them here back on our property. Okay, so that was it. That was all we said. The cops left. They went and talked to her. They come back a little while later, and they decided to arrest my husband. Oh, yeah. They had the video that she took that only showed part of the altercation, and they said he was the aggressor. And because she was bleeding and had some scratches on her back, and he only had a little scratch on his forehead at the time because bruises don't form instantly, and they didn't really look him over. They just assumed man, woman, it's the man that's the aggressor. So, fucked up system, right? Okay. So, he goes to jail that night. Yep, they took him in handcuffs. They took her to the emergency room, and she and her friend were never booked into the jail for violence or attack or assault or pulling a gun, anything like that. Oh, mind you, she's under 21 and had possession of a gun, and it...
Oh my God!
The police will not take a police report on a man that has been grooming my child at her school. We're going on a week now. You can go watch my other videos. I'm not going to go through the full explanation of what's been happening. But the only reason I've even allowed it to go on the several days that it has is because there was some apparent confusion between the police department and the school police department, which I think, first of all, is insane to have because of situations like this. Because now everybody's like, oh, not it. Oh, not it. Not me. I'm sorry. I don't really give a crap who takes my police report. I want you to have my police report with correct information in it. And the fact that I had to physically go up to the local police department who said, I've never heard of what's going on. Let me get back to you. Promised me they'd get back to me in 2 hours. Didn't hear back from them for 8 to 10 hours, which, whatever. They told me, after speaking with my, higher ups, the corporal who I spoke to last week that sent me back to the school saying they couldn't help me. Everybody's acting like they've never heard of any of this. I'm sorry, what? You haven't heard of any of this. That's not true. There's no way that's true. Anyway, the only reason I've allowed it to go on this long is because they were promising me callbacks and saying, we're trying to figure out, because things have been handed over to the DA, things have been handed over, blah, 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 blah. So after going yesterday, not being allowed to file the report because it would
waste my time if it was with the wrong people. I went home, spoke to the DA. They said there's no reason why they can't take that police report. And then finally that officer called me last night and said, there's no, we shouldn't be taking that report. You need to go to Johnson County Sheriff's Department. And if this is the kicker. If Johnson County Sheriff's Department tells me that I can go back to them, my local police department, then they need to call my local police department and let them know that I want them to take my report. And then I can call the police officer I spoke with and they can take my report then. But I have to jump through all those hoops to file a police report against someone who's been grooming my child at the school. I'm physically ill. I have never been so profoundly sad in my life. And I've been through a lot of things. Who knew that protecting your babies would be so hard? And what's the alternative? What's the alternative? Homeschooler? Not an alternative for me. I have a mortgage to pay. I don't have that luxury, and good for you if you do, but I don't. And that's okay. And the thing is, these things can happen anywhere. And the only place I know that wouldn't happen would be in my home. But I can't do that. As a lot of you can't do that. So everybody telling me to homeschool, sorry, that's not an option. And also, we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to. So, these Tik Toks are being seen by school officials because yesterday I got a call from Dr. So-and-so very conveniently after I had posted about not being able to fly with the police department. Sorry. And she was very obviously trying to smooth things over and say, we've passed everything to the DA. We're doing everything that we can and what we're supposed to do. And I'm like, yeah, thank you for making it seem that way. But as I told you, my daughter and her friends turned this into the principal last year. Last year. I don't even know what to say at this point. It's very rare that I'm speechless. I have lots of words to say usually, but I'm sick. I'm sick. So, Johnson County Sheriff's Department, I will be meeting you on Monday morning and hopefully filing a police report with you. And if not, then we keep going. I'm trying to follow all the steps that I know how until I can find an attorney to help me do this. I've reached out to a few. I'm waiting to hear back from them to make sure that we're a right fit, because I think that's going to be really important in this situation. And until then, I'm just doing the best that I can. And I'm a doer. When something is wrong, I'm a doer. I want to fix it. And so I'm trying to ask all the questions I know how to ask. I'm trying to document the way I know how to document. I'm trying to file a police report. I'm trying to get all of these things to the best of my ability. And everybody's saying go to the news and all of that, but that's going to require me announcing who this man is and who the district is. And I haven't done that in any of my videos. I'm not going to do that until there's a formal charge, because I don't want to get myself in trouble, and that's a safeguard for me. So I'm sure once I calm down today, I'll have more thoughts and feelings and maybe even more updates, because this seems to change on the daily. But this is where we're at today.
Oh, I should call him.
I have the hiccups, but here's the long-awaited part 2 of my roommate who said I threatened to stab and kill her. Okay, I have hiccups right now, so excuse me, but she leaves the room and a few hours go by that I get a text from her, and here's a text, and it's basically this long apology. Okay, just remember this apology, keep this in mind, it's gonna be brought up later. And so I'm I really hate texting, and especially in things like this, I don't want to do it over the phone, so I don't respond to the text, and I'm okay, next time I see her in person, I'll talk to her about it. And so I end up seeing her the day after, and she comes into the room
And she runs in, she's like, before I can say anything, she's, I'm so sorry, like, what I did was so messed up. I know that I was totally in the wrong. I crossed so many boundaries. Like, I know I, like, messed up. And then at this point, I'm trying to, like, apologize. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, I'm sorry, too. And she's like, no, you don't have to apologize for what you did. Like, I don't really, like, you didn't really do anything wrong. Like, this is all on me. And, like, I'm very big on forgiveness. So I'm like, okay, you just took accountability and forgave me. Like, we're good. And, like, I just wanted you to give me a genuine apology and, like, accept accountability. And so we're talking and everything's good. I'm like, well, you know, our two friends who were in here, they're pretty hurt by you, like, just coming and ignoring them. And she's like, oh, I genuinely didn't see them there. Like, do you think they'll accept my apology? And I'm like, I think they would, like, if I put in a good word with you. And so I, like, schedule a meeting for her and my other friends to try and, like, reconcile and, like, let's figure this out, like, right now. And we get to the meeting point with her and she just blows it. But that's a different story time. And so basically after the meeting, like, nothing really changed between her and my other friends. Like, they kind of, if anything, kind of got the opposite. Like, they kind of were like, okay, she's moving very weird. Like, we don't really want to talk and be friends with her anymore. And so after that meeting, I go back to her. I'm like, oh, I think you kind of messed that up. Like, they really felt very hurt by that entire conversation. Like, we got to work on doing better. Now, all that happened on Thursday night. And then Friday night, me and my friends are sitting down at the dining hall eating dinner, and I get this email from my area coordinator who's, like, runs the hall. And I get this, and I screenshot it and send it to my roommate. I'm like, what's this? Like, last time we talked, we were all good. Like, I'm helping you get on good standings with our friends. And so at this point, I'm just, like, very confused. I'm so confused. Like, we both apologized. You told me, actually, I didn't even have to apologize for my, like, what I did. Like, what's going on? And so the day of the meeting, my area coordinator emails me and is like, hey, can we meet, like, a few hours before the meeting so I can, like, get your side of the story and, like, we can kind of work things out. And so I get to my area coordinator and I tell her the whole story, but basically whatever I, like, posted in the last video, like, detail for detail. I show her the text and, like, this is what happened. And she goes, oh, well, that's, like, very interesting because the report we got was that you threatened to stab her 12 times and she feels very unsafe in the room and that you have threatened to suffocate and kill her. Now, let me do some background. I would not kill a bug if we were outside. Like, I'm a very positive person. I've always lived my life, like, on the beliefs that, like, everyone should just enjoy every day. Like, I am not one to, like, threaten people. So when I heard this, my jaw dropped. I was like, no way. And I'm sitting there in, like, the area coordinator's room, like, wait, she's like, she said that? And she's like, yeah, like, she told our RRA this the other day, and I'm just like, I can't believe it. And so basically I'm like, after that I'm heated because I'm like, last time we talked everything was good, like, what is going on? And so we get to the meeting and I walk in and of course she's avoiding eye contact, she's not looking at me, and I'm just like sitting there like, all right, let's bring it on. And the story starts, and this is how she tells the story word for word. So there was this guy I knew who texted me that he needed some place to stay, and so I called Hampton and asked if it was okay, and she said yes. And so I brought him over, and they started getting into an argument, and then I kind of didn't get into the middle of it because, like, they were really going back and forth, and then we decided to leave, and then I came back, I apologized, and she said, I'm gonna kill you. And then after that, I just felt really threatened. Like, I thought that she was very, like, she sounded very serious, like it was a genuine threat. And I'm just sitting there, like, bubbling with anger. I'm like, oh my god, she didn't even tell them that. She, like, told me to help kick him out. Like, she didn't even mention that detail. And so when it gets to telling my side of the story, I, like, pull out the receipts. I am just going in on, like, the detail to everything. I'm just telling them everything that happened. I'm showing them the text, and she's like, oh, screenshot and, like, send me those texts. And I'm like, yeah, like, I got you. Like, I am just going over everything. So I'm like, this girl is just lying, like, lying. And so the end conciseness was that she would move out because, I mean, like, why not? Like, if you feel so threatened, then move out. And so we have to have a lot of times when you're supposed to be in the room before she moved out, and which we both respected, I'll give you that. And then now she's all moved out. I'm so glad. But I found out about the victim support thing because, you know how I said my friends were her friends? So my friend came up to me and was like, hey, I talked to your roommate earlier. She said she was moving out. Like, what's going on? But then basically I was like, well, what did she tell you? What happened? And apparently she told my friend that we had an argument, and then my friend was like, well, what was it over? And my friend was like, oh, I did something bad, like, I messed up. My friend was like, well, what'd you do? And she was like, I don't want to go into it. So she didn't even tell my friend, like, why I threatened to kill her. That's odd. That's also how I found out that she is in a victim support group, but she is a pathological liar, so maybe she was lying about that too, because like these are the only knives I own. How would I stab you with everyday clear cutlery? Like I'm so confused. Anyway, and so basically now we don't talk, which I'm super glad about. She was just crazy, So I just want to make these videos just basically clear my name, because she's going around telling people that I threatened to stab her, even though I would never ever lay my hands on any person ever. I'm not a physical person. I've never been in any physical fight. I've never had to be detained for trying to hurt somebody. Like I choose words. When I had an altercation with her, I chose words. I was like, I'm gonna speak with you instead of going after you or being angry with you. And also just a PSA to anyone at the University of Tampa, in case she comes into your room and tries to tell you how I was the problem. No, you just gotta watch her, because she might bring random dudes around and wake you up at 3 a.m. to lie to your face.